Good Friday evening, Eastern North Carolina. We're going to do a quick update here on what is still potential Tropical Cyclone Four in the central western portions of Cuba. The National Hurricane Center just had their 5 p.m. update, so we're going to continue to have better numbers here. Not much changes other than where it's at. It's starting to move more so into the western end of Cuba, but over the next 12 hours, it'll start to lift north and impact areas of Florida. Right now, still winds at 30 miles per hour. The hurricane hunters with NOAA are going to fly into this late tonight, tomorrow morning once it's out of Cuba, so that way we'll actually have a better understanding. Likely will be a tropical depression overnight or at least into tomorrow morning, and then a tropical storm. So again, still a very disorganized group of thunderstorms, but having a good circulation with it, indicating that it's getting its act together here, and we will continue to see the northward shift. So we do know it's going to shift into the eastern Gulf of Mexico and impact areas of central Florida. Still some discrepancy though, as we could see a landfall anywhere near the Fort Myers area or anywhere 25 to 50 miles north or south. So regardless, anywhere along the central Florida and the southeast coast, we'll have to watch out for heavy rainfall throughout early next week and at least until the end of the weekend. And then models are becoming have more consensus here that it will continue to drift north and slow down a bit as it heads up towards the Carolinas. So there is some big question marks still of where does it slow down, where does it stall out, which would bring a wide variety of impacts here. So the steering flow is going to be everything. We just want to go over that here before we show the actual track. As you can see, overnight into Saturday night, it will start to ride parallel to the coast of West Florida, and that is because it's getting tugged by this upper level trough that somewhat stalls out across our region as we head into Sunday, which by the way, that will give us some scattered shower activity as we head into the weekend. But primarily it will be tugging this storm north, which will allow it to then transition into the Atlantic side of Florida and then up through the southeast coast. The issue is there's not much steering after that. We're going to see this upper level trough break down, and notice that this storm slows down a lot until another disturbance tries to tug it later in the week. So that means somebody anywhere from Georgia to us here in the Carolinas could be looking at a storm hanging out for a day, 2 days, or even more, which could bring big impacts. So again, we do know that a dip in that upper level trough will return as we head into the end of next week. So thankfully, by the following weekend, it does look like that system will start to at least leave the region. But here's the official track from the National Hurricane Center. You can see by Saturday afternoon is when it'll start to become a tropical depression, maybe even overnight tonight. But regardless, it is expected to make landfall as a tropical storm or even a Category 1, not out of the question if it hangs out in water more around that central coast of Florida there on the west side of Florida. And then right now, National Hurricane Center still has it as a tropical storm as it lifts up through the southeast coast and towards us, but that could change as well depending on where it's at. And the other big question, like I said, is where does it stall out? So you can see Monday afternoon, it's just now moving into the coast of Georgia, but then Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, that's a whole 2 days later, it's only up towards us. So that indicates that it's going to slow down, but don't get married or too attached to this because the track could shift anywhere within this cone of uncertainty, or it could stall out even further to our south, which would be good news for us. And again, the other concern will be the rainfall. So here's a few different scenarios. This is the GFS showing that we could pick up over a foot of rainfall, especially in our eastern and southeastern counties. Aside from storm surge, that could bring big impacts for urban flooding and river flooding. You know, we've seen so much rainfall over the past month here, 2 months, or the past month, and that's just going to add to the potential of flash flooding here with any system that could ride up our coast. So that's the GFS. The Euro does shift it a little bit further south, have it stalling out more so towards South Carolina. This would be a better scenario for us, but we are not out of the woods because even if it stalls to our south, it will likely at least pass our shores somewhere. And the Euro for us has anywhere from 3 to 5+ inches, so that is still enough to cause some flash flooding mid to late week. And then the ensemble showing kind of a blend of both scenarios. Regardless, we're going to need to be on the lookout. If it were to stall near us, one of the other things we're going to keep an eye out for is the storm surge potential and the strong winds, especially if it were to intensify to possibly a Category 1 or even maybe a weak Category 2. But as of right now, that is still a bit uncertain. Do want to just go over some preparedness kits here. You can develop your evacuation plan now. The good news is we definitely have some time in the next few days. If you haven't had that preparedness kit ready, you can get that together here, come up with a plan with your family and friends, and have that communication and evacuation plan ready. You can go to knowyourzone.nc.gov to find out what your evacuation zone is. And it's also good to know your threat to a potential storm like the one we may see. And like I said, do have some time still. If you haven't had that preparedness kit ready this hurricane season, this weekend is a great time to do it. Of course, you also want to prepare for the potential of losing power for a couple days or even up to a week, which is why that preparedness kit is going to be very important. You want to check the forecast and check your local officials for any key messages here about road closures, evacuation plans, or anything. So we will continue to update here on Facebook, on YouTube. We are live right now on News 12, just about right now at 5:30 through 6:30 o'clock. Chief Meteorologist Donnie Cox has the entire forecast that you can tune in. We'll also be back late tonight with our updated numbers with that. And like I said, pay attention to the forecast. You can download that Storm Track 12 weather app and keep up to date with all of our tropical numbers and the forecast. It is going to be a hot weekend still, and we are expecting some scattered showers outside of anything that comes mid to late next week. So I'm meteorologist Grant Carlton. We'll be back later with a further update.